Oh, no, I'm live. Hello. To those of you watching the replay. How's it going? Getting my boocha ready. Actually, let me check my audio settings. Make sure my mic is working, and it's not, of course. There we go. That should be better. Sure, I should get one of these kombucha companies to sponsor me. I drink kombucha on here every day. Good morning, Lori. You're quick today. How are you, honey? You having a good week? Weekend is what I meant to say. Having a good weekend? Hi, Chantal. Good morning, love. I should say good afternoon, love. Considering you're in Dubai. How's the weather there? Is it hot already? Good morning, Michelle. Nice to see you, love. Hi, Adriana. Hello, hello. I was supposed to have an Andy on today, but I postponed him because we have Siddhartha on tomorrow now. And a Chen and Siddhartha back-to-back is a lot. So now you guys get me today. Hi. We'll have Andy on next Monday. It'll be nice to talk with Siddhartha tomorrow. And then we've got the Siddhartha event on Astara on, I believe, Thursday. Christopher and Daniela will know. Good morning, Jody. Hi, Karen. How are you? Hi, Anya. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Let's see if this Schumann is still going bonkers, yeah? The Schumann was going crazy yesterday. I could feel it. I could not. How about you guys? Did you guys sleep well last night? I did not sleep for shit. I took my melatonin and it didn't touch me. Wow. It's still going crazy today, guys. Look. Look at that Schumann. Holy shit. Wow. Things are really ramping up. Hi, Ariana. Good morning, love. Hi, Gabby. Hi, Jordan. Hi, Nels. Hi, Aaron. About to go bonkers with Storm. School's shut tomorrow. Might work from home. Nice one, Chantal. I gotta point out how well Chantal noticed something yesterday. So I was doing my class, my astral projection class, and in the last hour, I started to feel weird. Like I started to feel like a little anxious, and I don't even know why. Like I can talk to you guys like nothing, no problem at all. I enjoy talking with you guys. It doesn't stress me out at all. So me starting to feel stressed at the end of my class, I was trying to figure out like what it was. Chantal messaged me right as it finished, and she's like, "Honey, your eyes changed. Make sure you get checked." And it was funny because right when she messaged me to say that, I had already messaged Andy and the team to be like, "Hey guys, can you just check me really quick? I don't feel like myself." And sure enough, Chantal nailed it. Yep, one of the fuckers got me. It must have jumped from one of my students. So I hope whoever it was enjoyed their clearing yesterday. So yeah, I had a wonderful astral projection class though. Other than that, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed teaching and talking with you guys about this stuff because this is something that is starting to get more and more noticeable. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Let's see. Was it when your voice started to crack? I don't know. I'm not sure. But it just goes to show how well you guys are starting to pick up these things, how well you're starting to notice. So, and sure enough, Andy was like, "Yeah, you got a neg, it's gone." I was like, shit. But they're very crafty, you guys. They jump. They're like fleas. They jump from person to person. And yeah, they will jump through a screen. So if you're watching somebody on the news and they get an attachment, yep, they can jump with no problem. Christine says, "I'm curious about chemtrails. I've seen so many lately. Not every day, only on Sundays. What are they, and what are they doing up there?" Well, chemtrails are a very, 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 First, you have something called a contrail. Okay, a contrail is something that is formed through the condensation that is left in upper altitude by the jet's engines, right? It's basically just water vapor. It's man-made clouds, okay? But those dissipate. You look up at them in the sky, they only get about that long in the sky. You don't normally see them very, very long, okay? Because a contrail will melt. It's just ice crystals that will start to melt. And yeah, you can actually prolong them a little bit by keeping them in the upper altitude and stuff. But when you do see a contrail, it will just start to fade. Like you'll notice the tail is melting, right? And it doesn't really get longer than a certain amount because the tail will start to melt by the time it gets to another point, right? So it's kind of like you're just watching this little thing going across the sky. Well, if it's an actual chemtrail, this is when they are spraying something other than water up there, which is not a man-made cloud. It's usually barium, aluminum, all kinds of other, what was it, silver iodide, what is it called? Oh man, it's gonna bug me. Hold on. Common chemtrail ingredients. But one of my friends used to work for the Nuclear and Biological Chemical Weapons Division of the U.S. Marine Corps, and he was one of my whistleblower friends. And he he used to work on the aerosol concoctions that they would spray out of the planes. And he told me they can even inoculate an entire population without them being aware of it. But there is a lot of different things that they're finding in chemtrails nowadays. And it's funny because if you search chemtrail, right, they're going to tell you it's a conspiracy theory. They'll tell you, oh, it's just conspiracy theorists. The government's not spraying anything up there, you know, blah, blah, blah. They're not trying to modify the weather. But then if you Google cloud seeding, you get all of the information out there of the scientific explanations as to why they seed the clouds, what they're spraying up there, and what it's for. And most of the time it's for weather modification. They're trying to make it rain, or they're trying to not make it rain, or they're just messing around with the cloud cover. But they also, if you look up there and you notice that there are rainbows in the clouds, right? We call those chembows, okay? It's not a rainbow, it's a chembow. And those are from the heavy metals that they are spraying out of the planes because they spray heavy metals all the time. They're trying to block out the sun. They're trying to block out the energy coming from the sun. I'll give you guys 2 guesses as to why that might happen. They're trying to keep the frequency low. They're trying to bounce back those energies, those frequencies that are coming down here. And so there's a lot of things they don't really want us to know about. And one of the things is why they would mess around with the weather, because they do it all the time. You can actually order your own chemtrails. Like if you were to go on weathermodification.com, they have a list of many of their clients. They will show you their planes. They show you the type of planes they use and what they're using them for. And they will even list many of their clients, including the Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department of Defense. So your tax dollars are being spent on chemtrails. And you can call it weather modification all you want, but it's the same thing. Like they just don't want us using the word chemtrail because it has such negative connotations to it. But they're a real thing. They can call us conspiracy theorists all they like, but they've been spraying, and this is a fact. I mean, they literally had patents on their airplanes for spraying since the 1940s. So, I mean, it's like, how are you going to say something doesn't exist when they have the fucking patents on it? Like, when they're literally advertising it and selling it. But it does tend to backfire because whenever you have humans messing with something that nature is supposed to control, we always fuck it up. And there was a lot of upset recently about how they were spraying. I forget where it was. I believe it was in the Middle East or somewhere in North Africa. It might even have been in Saudi land. I kind of remember where it was. But they basically did a whole lot of cloud seeding right before they were supposed to get rain because they thought, well, we're not going to get that much. Maybe we can increase it. They got torrential floods. They flooded half of their country. And people were really upset about it because they knew they were spraying. They could see them out there spraying it. So the main way that you can tell if they're spraying chemtrails is if you can just look up there. I mean, you can see it with your own eyes. And if you see that those little trails are not so little, they get long and they start spreading across the sky and they start dissipating. Like, what do you say dissipating, right? Because dissipating would mean that it starts to disappear. They don't disappear, they spread. They start to get like, it looks like somebody just blew sand across the sky. That is the chemicals and all that stuff just spreading through the air. And so the reason they do that, like I said, they modify the weather. They're blocking a lot of solar activity, but they're also messing with us. They mess with us a lot for all kinds of different reasons. But I think the main reason they're doing it is to lower the frequency. They're desperate to keep the frequencies low. I shared a post this morning in the Spirit Release Academy discussion group about a man that was really visibly shaken. You could see it all over his face, how shaken he was. And the story went that he went to go and visit a friend. I believe it was like a mechanic friend of his that he just went in to surprise one day. Well, when he went in to surprise him and he turned around to see him, his friend had pitch black eyes, like the whiteness of his eyes was gone. And he just looked different. And so he was like, what the hell? I don't even understand. So he started Googling, and apparently they're telling people that there's a demon face. What do you call it? Like a demon face. Oh, what was it? What did they call it? It was like a ports delivery person. That's who it was. Okay, thank you. But they were saying it's like a demon face syndrome or something, that they're trying to say that people are picking up a syndrome now that are making them a disorder. Yeah, thank you. That's allowing them to see demons, see demonic faces. And they're gaslighting these people. They're saying that a demon face visual disorder. So if you see somebody with a demon face, you're crazy and you've got a disorder. And it reminds me, have you guys seen that new TV show on Netflix? Or not Netflix. Maybe it is Netflix. See, I don't watch a lot of TV shows. The only reason I started watching this is because Rachel Chapman told me to. But there's a show called Resident Alien. I'm pretty sure it is on Netflix. And in the show Resident Alien, there is a kid, right, that can see aliens. He's the only one in the whole town that can see. And this alien comes in and takes over one of the bodies of the locals. And the poor kid can see this alien, right? He can see his full alienness. And he's being gaslighted by every single person in the town because the poor kid can see him. In fact, he goes up to him. He's like, I know you're an alien. And he's like, fuck off, kid. Like, he's so mean to the kid. And he basically admits, yeah, I'm an alien, but he'll only admit it when the kid is alone. So this poor child is getting gaslighted into thinking that he wasn't, that he wasn't actually seeing what he was seeing. They're doing it to us on so many levels. It's unbelievable. It's crazy that poor kid is actually seeing his true face, and everybody is treating him like he's completely batshit crazy. And that's what's happening to these people that are having this demon face disorder. They're literally seeing real people that are shape-shifting. And of course, that's the side effect of the 5D shift. People are starting to see what's actually there. So, can these entities be separate from a human? I think my brother-in-law saw a gremlin go up into the ceiling tiles. Yeah, they exist all around us, you guys. We're in a zoo, okay? We are living in a zoo. We are surrounded by creatures all the time. It's just that we don't know because we couldn't see them before. Now we're starting to see them. I saw a black orb go through my house today. I don't think it was black. Anyway, I just saw an orb and it just went across my kitchen. And I said to Aiden, did you see that? And unfortunately, he didn't. He was around the corner. But the other day, we saw a shadow pass between us. And it doesn't always mean that they're bad either, for the record. Just because something is like a black shadow doesn't mean it's bad. It means that your eyes are starting to tune in to that frequency. And of course, you're going to see shadows first until you start dialing up that tuner even more. So, saw a video this morning of a guy that said he goes to deliver parts to a man every day, but the last time eyes were all black and that he looked different. Ray, we were just talking about that. I was the one that shared that video. He was the parts deliverer. Okay. Yep. See, this is what I mean, though. And the poor guy was gaslighted into thinking that he was crazy, that he's just imagining what he saw. No, you actually saw that. So, Aaron wants me to talk about the Titanic post. Okay. I can talk about Titanic. Did you guys see that post? For those of you who are not aware, the Tagetans have talked about this before. That's how I knew about it. I didn't even know until the Tagetans talked about it. But they said that they did a long explanation into the sinking of the Titanic, and it turns out that the real Titanic never sunk. That it was the Olympia that sunk. And for those of you who are aware, the Titanic event really did happen to a degree. The only lie is that it wasn't the Titanic. It was the Olympia. They switched the ships. They changed the names. So if you've ever seen that movie, it just popped into mind when I was thinking about it. You ever seen the movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage? And they're on a ship and the Coast Guard is coming in and they're like, fuck, they know somebody snitched. And he's like, okay, well, we got to change the name. So they ran around the ship changing the name. And they changed the flag and everything on the ship. And they didn't get caught. Well, same thing. That's what they did. Is that they they knew that those people were coming over, and I say those people, but they knew that there were very prominent businessmen that were against the creation of the Federal Reserve, and so yeah, they knew that they were going to have to sink the ship, but rather than sinking a brand new shiny ship that they had just built, they had the older model, the Olympia, and they swapped them. So they called the Olympia Titanic and they called the Titanic the Olympia. Okay. And so the Olympia was decommissioned eventually. They took it off and ended up retiring it somewhere. But the Titanic, as you guys know, they say sunk. Well, they purposefully sunk the ship in order to kill a few other people, like the Astor family and a few others that were very much against what J.P. Morgan and some of the other corrupt banking cartels were doing. So it's a long story, but the Titanic basically set us up for corrupt banking for the next 100 years. And so, yeah, the Tagetans have covered this. If you go to sfadu.com here, I'll just do it for you. For those of you who might be interested in some lost history, the Tagetans cover so much stuff, you guys. They really do. If you were to go to their website, sfadu.com, which I'm about to share, and then you just type in a word. You can just type in anything, like Titanic. And sure enough, you're going to find where they were talking about it. There's a couple times they've talked about it. There's the transcript. They've also got the YouTube on there. But I love how they talk very in depth about these things. Good morning, Andy. Nice to see you, bud. Conspiracies go so far back, it's insane. Way longer than the Olympia Titanic. Oh, yeah. This is the thing. History is a lie, you guys. What we consider to be true history is an extremely watered down, and basically most of it is a lie. Like, the dates are all messed up. There's all kinds of things. The Tagetans, for example, they were curious, right? When they first arrived, they wanted to start investigating our history. So as many of you are already aware, because I've talked about this before, crop circles are timeline markers, okay? In many cases, not all the time, but they drop a crop circle right before they're about to make a timeline jump because they want to make sure they get it back to their original starting point, their jumping point, right? So that's what they did, is they would jump around our history and our timelines and to see all of these different things. Tartaria is one of the places they went. Exactly. Tartaria, for those of you who do not know, it was one of the many lost civilizations we had on this planet, other than Lemuria and Atlantis. And so the main thing about history, unfortunately, is that all of it the Tagetans have discovered is a lie. And it's all jumbled up. It's all crazy. Like, for example, they went to northern England to see the forming of Hadrian's Wall, right? And so they decided, okay, well, this is strange. This isn't the time period we thought it would be done, but okay. So then they went south They didn't jump again. They literally just flew south. And you know what they found? The French Revolution. Not Revolution, the French Renaissance. That's what it was. They found the Renaissance. So the Romans built Hadrian's Wall during the Renaissance. Good luck trying to figure out that one. This is my point, is that they have lied so much about history and they've jumbled everything up together that so when somebody like an ET comes here trying to make sense of all of it, everything is all jumbled up. The names are all confusing. They've really done a number on our history. And the reason for that is because they want to erase it. They want to keep most of it quiet. So you just, I feel sorry for any aliens that come here trying to be a historian, trying to actually map out human history on Earth, because it would be a nightmare. It really would. The only way you'd be able to do it is probably through the Akashic records, because there's just so much that's been misconstrued and moved around and changed in so many different timelines. So some things that happen in certain timelines may not happen down at others. So, for example, Rome, fell supposedly, right? They moved everything to the Byzantine Empire. Well, there may be a timeline where it never fell, or that they never moved. So there's a lot of different timelines out there where we've had some major events that have shifted the direction of human history. And that's why there are so many different options for us to choose from. So the fact that you guys are in this particular timeline, that you chose to be here now in this particular timeline, is a very interesting decision on your part. But it is Dolores Cannon's birthday today, so I wanted to, honor her a little bit to talk about this, because Dolores was also doing her absolute best trying to make sense of all this misconstrued history. And a lot of her books, contain a lot of history. Like, for example, my favorites when it comes to relearning history is her books about Jesus, is about Yeshua, I should say. Her books about Yeshua are phenomenal. So if you guys have not actually read Dolores Cannon's books about Yeshua, please do, because it gives you a whole new perspective on the origins of Christianity that most people are not going to have. Most people get the watered down version, they get it from the religious side. And unfortunately, they have done their absolute best to keep things quiet, So Yeshua himself was a really wonderful person. And even though he was not the only Son of God chosen to die for our sins, he was still extremely influential. And there's a lot of influential people throughout history that have been erased from the history books because they didn't want their influence to continue. And unfortunately, there's a lot of other people who had their histories changed drastically. Jesus and the Essenes. There's another one called They Walked with Jesus. That's another good one. Gabby says, I've never read a book of hers. Which one to start with? Definitely Between Death and Life. Between Death and Life is probably in my top 3 favorite books of all time. It really is phenomenal. Keepers of the Garden is also another really good one. Who else has a different Dolores Cannon book, though, that is one of their favorites? 3 Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth. That's a really good one. Did you guys have any of her books that completely changed your life? That would be Between Death and Life for me. That one, I don't think any book has ever changed my life as much as Between Death and Life did. She did the wonderful job of just explaining things in layman's terms, making everything easy to understand. The Custodians, that's a really good one. Yes, The Custodians is about ETs and our ET history. The Custodians of Earth, all the Greys, the Zetas. Dolores loved the Zeta Reticulans, the farmers that came here, the gardeners. You've not read any of her books, Catherine. Oh, you really should. Between Death and Life, I'm telling you got to start with that one. Phenomenal book. Although you could start with 5 Lives Remembered. Thank you, Cindy. That's also a phenomenal book of hers. That's actually her first book that she ever wrote, I believe. 5 Lives Remembered. Yes. Wonderful. Horns of the Goddess got me so emotional. Horns of the Goddess is the most recent book that they released. It was done by her daughter, Nancy. Nancy compiled a whole bunch of her sessions after her death. So it's been published posthumously. And That is also a phenomenal book. It goes into our pagan origins, and there's a lot that we need to relearn. Excuse me, relearn about that. Convoluted Universe is also really good. Loved Convoluted Universe. That's actually a 5-part series. Convoluted Universe 2, I think, was the one I enjoyed the most out of the 5-part series. But they've all blended together into one big book in my head. That's the problem. I binged them like they were a what do you call it? Like a series. Netflix binged Dolores books. But I was so emotionally touched by those books because there was so much knowledge in there that it felt like I was remembering. Like I was getting deja vu constantly reading her book. Like I've already read it before, maybe, or that I just knew the information in it, but it resonated such a deep personal level that I retained all of it. Like I just soaked it up like a sponge, and that's why I was so good at running her page for so long. Because so many questions. I mean, most of the questions that people ask about spirituality, and even the really tough questions, like what happens to people when they commit, self-harm, I guess the best way to put it. Well, all of that is covered in Between Death and Life. She just goes through so many different areas of human emotion, suffering. Just there's a lot that us humans have been through, and the way that she kind of compartmentalized it and made it easier to understand really helped a lot. So if there's somebody that is starting their spiritual awakening, somebody that is just starting to, have their questions coming forward because they're trying to understand this whole mess, that's the best book for them, really. Aaron says, I put girls in what I said trances during sleepovers in middle school. We used to have those games in middle school where we'd be like doing flat as a board. What do you call it? Yes. Where you float. That's the one. I'm trying to think of what it was called. We would do that. We would also do all kinds of seances and stuff. Children are just curious. That's the thing. We're always trying to mess. It's funny how much children are curious about things. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Thank you, Aaron. That was the one. That's the game. You know how long that game's been around? That did not come from the craft, you guys. That is a very old game that they played for a very long time. Her books are a huge chapter in my life, huge awakening experience. So thankful that all led me here to this community. I feel like Dolores was kind of my recruiter. There's something about her, because as soon as I found her books, I love her so much. I looked at her like she was my own grandmother. I don't know why. I never even got the opportunity to meet her in person. I started working for them 2 years after her death. And I just, one of my biggest, saddest things is that I never got to meet her. But at the same time, I feel like she's been in my house 100 times. It's like that feeling, like she knows me a lot better than I know her. But I feel like she comes to many of us. This is the thing. When you start, I spoke with Candace. Candace was her first student. So Candace Goldman Shaw, the woman that founded BQH, Beyond Quantum Healing. Candace and I are good friends, and I had a wonderful chat with her about her history with the group. And she was telling me how much Dolores was dedicated to her teaching and how much hard work she put into teaching and training back then and how dedicated she was. You really had to, it was like a college degree in the beginning, because she was so careful about her training. And I think Joe is there. Joe could tell you probably. Hi, Joe. Joe said she was trained by Dolores Cannon, so you probably understand what I'm talking about. The level of training that she gave in person was unparalleled. She really gave so much to her students. There's no words that can express how much she loved her students and how much she loved teaching her students and how much she just loves helping people. And that was something that I have always carried with me about her. I'll never forget the story that Candace told me about how she climbed Mount Shasta in December for the December 21st winter solstice. She climbed Mount Shasta in her 80s, pitched her own tent, and took care of herself. She was as badass as they come. She really was. I should say is, because she's still with us. She's just not in her vessel anymore. I think she's working harder now than she did when she was alive. She's always busy. She's always looking after her students. She's popping into sessions all the time. And so she's always present, you guys. This is one of the biggest messages that I've ever gotten. And one of the things that she asked me, if you guys remember back when I met Tara Maloof and my first message with her, she asked me, she goes, please be more present for the community. And I said, what does that even mean? And that's why I'm doing this podcast. It's just because really Dolores asked me to be more present. But this is the thing. I feel that she's with all of us. If you guys tune into her energy, if you ask her to come to you because you want some insight or some knowledge, anything, if you just want to tell her how loved and appreciated she is, please do. She will come. I've seen it happen. She comes to everybody that calls her. So, and this is the thing. I believe this is what happens with all loved ones. And I got to tell you guys the crazy thing that happened, right? I wasn't even going to talk about this, but since I'm kind of segued myself into it anyway, I might as well. So as many of you may have noticed, I got my account back. So I got my Facebook, the one that got hacked. My original private account was taken from me by a hacker about 2 weeks ago, give or take. And I had pretty much written it off. I didn't think I was going to get it back. They had switched my authenticator with one of theirs. So I wasn't able to get in at all. There was no way of getting in. Like, it was the craziest thing, right? And so I was in between. I was just finishing a meeting, and then I was waiting for one of the mediums to start doing clearings. And I was on my phone, and I got a notification of a message or something. So I went and I clicked on it. It logged me out of my backup account and put me into my old one. And I was like, what the hell? Literally with the push of a button, just one tap. Doop, and then I got logged out of my backup account, and I got logged into the account that got hacked. One tap. That's all I did. And I was like, what the hell just happened? And I realized I'm in, and I'm like, I had a little mini celebration. I was like, oh. So then I switched it, and I went into the authenticator. I turned off their fake authenticator. And then I switched it back to my phone number. And then I changed the password, and they haven't been able to get back in. I got my account, right? But I'm still wondering, like, how the hell is that possible? I have put in my password 100,000 times. I have been going and resubmitting my ID and a whole bunch of stuff to Facebook. I did not expect to get it back, right? And guess what? I mentioned I was waiting for one of the mediums. This was my friend Katie. And so Katie comes on. I joined her on her host and her Zoom, and I told her what happened. And I was laughing. I'm like so excited about getting my account back. And I was asking, I said, would you be up for doing a mediumship reading? Because one of our clients would like to contact someone who is deceased, someone who is passed on. And I said, Katie, would you be willing to do that? And she says, yeah, I haven't done one of those in a while, but I could do that. So I was like, okay, cool. So I said, well, if you want, you can practice on me. You can see if somebody's around. And she's like, okay. And she's like, well, your father is there. I'm picking up your dad, but there's another young man that's there. He's very tall, kind of handsome. He's a younger guy, and he's saying you're welcome. And I was like, huh? And she's like, is his name Jamie? Joey? And I'm like, Joey V? And she's like, yeah, that's his name. And I'm like, that is my deceased best friend. That is the best friend that committed suicide 17 years ago, who I talk to every day as if he's still here, because, they get lonely after a while. If you think about it, 17 years is a long time to be deceased. That, people stop talking about you as much. You're not in always people's minds and stuff. He saw how upset I was over losing that account. He saved my ass. He saved my account for me. And she's like, oh, he's laughing. He thinks it's funny. And I was like, I hope you know how much I appreciate you. Like, wow. But the fact, how crazy I felt? having my deceased best friend save my Facebook account 17 years later. Like, okay. But he was actually like patting himself on the back for it, going, haha, you're welcome. Like, he was so happy that he could do that for me. And so my point is, and the reason I'm telling you guys that is, talk to your loved ones in spirit. Talk to them. They love it. They really do. They so appreciate it. And you know what's funny is that he's still messing with me. Like, I was working yesterday, last night, I was typing, and somebody was messing with me. They were like poking me like this on the forehead, like this. I'm pretty sure he's the one that poked me in the eye the other day as well, wherever he is. I don't know which. I know he's here because I'm talking about him. But remember, I told you guys somebody poked me in the eye. I'm pretty sure it was him. I was having negative thoughts, and somebody just went, yeah. He has a really good sense of humor, so who knows? But I just couldn't believe that. I was so shocked that it actually, like I said, all of one tap, boop, and I'm in. And he saved my account. And then he bragged about it. So talk to them. They love it. Okay, talk to Dolores. She would appreciate it. Just wish her happy birthday. I'm gonna do something for her today. I don't know what. Probably something involving red birds. I saw a cardinal thing at the store. I might go and feed some cardinals today. I don't know. I'll do something nice for her. Just as this token of my love and appreciation because of how much that she is still with us in spirit. She's still working her ass off, you guys. She's always tuning in to her students. She's always popping into sessions. She's looking after us. She really is. She's looking after all of her students. And I'm going to scroll up because I want to read what Joe said. I saw it. Joe says, I'm a certified QHHT practitioner, and the thing I question now about it with everything coming to light about quantum physics with timelines and parallel universes are that they're saying everything is happening now. There is no past. So I think we need to rename what we do. They are not past life regressions anymore. Maybe we call it quantum time jumping. Well, they're like alternate, I guess. Alternate would be the better way of putting it. It's a parallel lifetime, an alt life. So you're right, though. All other lives, technically, are not past lives. They are all concurrent lives happening simultaneously. This is why she called her one series Convoluted Universe. If you guys want an understanding of this, Dolores' books, Convoluted Universe, they help a lot. This is what helped me learn the quantum nature of our reality and how we're based. She said all the time, we are basically in a video game. We are, this is not real. None of this is real. It may feel real, but it's not. It's only because we're locked into this frequency that it's real. But we're changing frequencies all the time, as that poor gentleman that got the shit scared out of him by his friend's demon face got to find out the hard way. Daniel says, makes me want to slap my rich alt. You know what's funny? Suzanne Spooner, one of Dolores' students, she had a really interesting session once where she had a parallel reality. So get this, right? Some past lives, see, I'm doing it again already, Joe. You see this? So some other lives that were in the linear past makes it seem like you have to have your lives in a line, like you're going through a linear procession, but you're not. Your next incarnation could be in Atlantis, it could be anywhere. It depends on where your soul needs to learn something and have an experience. I got my account back over the weekend, Matt. Yeah, that was you. I talked with you. I still need to make a plan with your girlfriend. Message me. I'll try and message you after this, eh? I didn't forget, Matt. I've been running around like I had this chicken. Yeah, she explains everything so well in those books. I'm just reading through the comments. There's a lot of them. So yeah, when you were going, oh yeah, I didn't finish my story. I got distracted. My ADD is like zoom zoom today. So when Suzanne Spooner was doing this clearing on a gentleman, she wanted to know, he asked questions about his past life. So she went into what she thought was a past life and started asking him questions. And he was describing what he saw. And he explained that he saw his big flat screen TV. And she's like, the hell kind of a past life is this if he's watching a TV? And he's explaining it. This 60-inch flat screen TV. He's explaining his living room. He's explaining all of these things. And she's trying to figure out, like, where did he tap into? So she started asking him questions and going back in time. And get this, right? The gentleman that she was hypnotizing, that she was communicating with, he made a split happen with his college decision, right? So every major decision that you have in life is a timeline shift, okay? This is one of the things we've discovered about the quantum nature of reality, is that every time you are faced with a decision, it can be something like, I'm going to go to the grocery store, okay? And then another part of you says, no, I don't feel like going to the grocery store today. I'm not going to. Well, you just made a split in those two dimensions, basically, because one version of you now is going to go to a grocery store and the other version of you is going to stay home. This is actually a true thing. This is how it actually happens. And this is why there are trillions of alternate realities and timelines that exist out there, because you're constantly splitting yourself between these different realities. And yeah, certain parts you may not be accessible after a certain time. Like, let's say there's a timeline where you died at age 10. No, you're not going to be able to switch between that timeline because there's no you left in that specific timeline at that specific time. But in other realities where you still do exist, you can parallel reality jump between other versions of yourself, which is crazy. I mean, if you think about it, you can visit other versions of yourself. And so a lot of people wonder, like, you know, am I the same person I was 10 years ago? No, you might not be that person at all. You may never have ever been that person. You might be from a different timeline. So the things that you think you experienced when you were 10 years old may have been an experience of something else or someone else or another version of you experienced, okay? So what was interesting is when she was doing this clearing, I'm getting all today. I'll blame the Schumann. So she was doing this hypnosis session on this guy, and she finds out that it was his college decision that he changed. So in one reality, he became, I don't know, we'll just make up a name, a doctor, okay? And in another reality, he chose a different college. So he became a lawyer or something. You know, he had a completely different trajectory. He ended up meeting a different woman at this different college. He ended up having different children with her, had a new career. All of the things were different. He was a completely different person in this alternate reality. And so Suzanne asked, like, why would you show us this? And because the reason for that, his soul was meant to show, like, every decision you make will change huge amounts of your life without even being aware of it. You'll never know what one little decision you might have made back in the day might have changed. And so the interesting thing is that some of us come back just to find out what those other decisions would have led to. This is why so many times we come back as the same person. If you ever have a deja vu in the experience and you're like, I swear I've experienced this before, it might not be the first time that you are you. It might be the 10th time that you are you. It might, because a lot of people, this is one of the things that we don't often talk about, right? Is the planning stage, the planning process that has to come between having a life. Because you plan everything about yourself. You plan everything about all your relationships, the people you're going to interact with, the lessons you need to learn. When you are in between planning your next incarnation, it is a huge task. Okay, it takes quite a long time. And some souls get lazy with it. And this is something that Dolores often talked about, is how sometimes we plan things very lazy-like. We're just like, oh, fuck it. I'll wing it once I come down there. So then they come down here without a solid plan, without certain breadcrumbs in place to lead them in a certain direction. And they end up completely lost and fumbling around in the darkness, having a dark night of the soul and wondering why they aren't able to progress the way that they are meant to in this life. Well, because you didn't set your plan that well. They don't force you to make a good plan. If you say, yeah, they'll say, okay, there you go. Enjoy the ride. They will let you figure it out. And then the next time you come back, you're like, oh shit, okay, I should have put some things in there to make it a little easier. I should have had some breadcrumbs in there to guide me a little better. Okay, maybe next time I'll do it differently. So you don't actually have to go through all of those planning stages again. You can make a tweak here and there and be like, I think I want to change this one thing I did when I was 10. That kind of changed my life. And then I got another really dumb decision I made at 22. Probably should change that. All right, let's just see how it makes. Now, how things are different this time. So you'd end up tweaking those two basic things, reliving the same life. But then all of a sudden, those two things ended up being major things and completely changing your life in a new direction that you never thought possible. So this has happened not only to us here on Earth, but even Svaru was talking about this. She spent 10 lifetimes doing the same life over and over and over. And it's just like Groundhog Day. Exactly, Catherine. That is what she did. In fact, you know what was crazy? And this is something that I got quite upset about. She was explaining about how every time that she decided to do it again, or she would relive the same life again, she skipped the healing place. She skipped it. We talk about the healing place quite a bit in Dolores's books because every soul usually goes to the healing place in between incarnations. Svaru didn't. And she ended up basically spending 10 incarnations, one after the other consecutively. And so by the time she was done with that 10th incarnation, her soul was beyond exhausted. Imagine how exhausted it was by the time it got actually to visit the healing place. So, got a spammer. Block the spammer. Bam, hammer. Oh, yeah. Bye-bye. So, Courtney says she didn't like the movie Groundhog Day. I love Groundhog Day. I watch it probably twice a year. I love Bill Murray, but honestly, Groundhog Day has so much important hidden knowledge in it. It's unbelievable. It's like They Live, it's like it's one of those classic gems just filled with so much hidden truth. It's unbelievable. Yeah. You were in the movie Groundhog Day, Michelle? Are you serious? Were you an extra? That is so fucking cool. What scene? You gotta tell me. I'm gonna look for you now. Michelle was one of the chicks he was getting hit on. How much you want to bet? Getting hit on by Bill Murray. Like that scene where he's like, didn't we go to school together? What's the best thing to do to the spammer? Just block them? Hell yeah, Steph. You just hammer them. Bam. Speaking of Steph, I bought this mug just because you were on it, Steph. See that right there? He reminded me of you. So I call this my Steph mug. I walk from a mailbox behind Bill Murray to the town after he steps in the puddle. That's one of my favorite scenes, is when he steps in the puddle. Nice. That's wonderful. I'm telling you, Groundhog Day, you get new appreciation for it when you have your awakening. You really do. You get so much more of an appreciation. What's another good movie with a lot of hidden truth in it? I think Doctor Strange is one of my favorites. I think Doctor Strange is my favorite superhero of all time. Even though he's got quite an attitude, I just love him. The fact that he became a superhero just through studying magic is just the coolest thing. So he'll always be my favorite, I think. The OA. They canceled that way too soon. Phenomenal show. Loved that one. But you guys will have to check out Resident Alien, like I mentioned at the beginning, because that was funny. It's a really funny show. There's an octopus scene in it that had me, I was dying laughing. I literally had tears in my eyes. I was laughing so hard at this octopus scene. Because he's like, hello, cousin. To the alien guy when he walks in. That was great. When he said hello, cousin, I just laughed so hard. Probably because I was smoking too. It doesn't help. Somebody asked earlier how I've been doing with my cannabis break, my quitting cannabis. I'm terrible, you guys. I just started doing both Blue Lotus and cannabis. Old habits die hard. I can't help myself. I love cannabis. It's always been my favorite plant on this whole planet. And so it is one of those things. If my soul guides really want me to quit, they're just gonna have to harass me more, I guess. So no, I haven't given it up yet. 420 is next week, you guys. Come on. It's my favorite holiday. It's seriously my favorite holiday. I'm going to spend it on the beach with my friends in New Jersey as well. I'm going on a holiday for my holiday. Let's see. Sense 8 was also pretty good. I like that. That's what I'm doing, Steph. Steph says just smoke less. 100%. I used to have a 420 rule where I stopped wake and baking and then I would only smoke after 420 in the afternoon. And that let me get all my adulting done so I wouldn't get distracted because I do have really bad ADD. My ADD is like shiny thing. And I'm like always. So it's not easy for me to stay focused. And so if I'm smoking, then yeah, it's even harder for me to stay focused. And so I have been cutting it back to only nighttime now. I'm using it to get myself to sleep. And it didn't work last night. Anybody else have trouble sleeping? I was up until like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning last night because I'm blaming the Schumann. Nice one. I'm just reading your comments, Steph. Well done. It's, it's one of those things where you take it in stride. I'm not going to stress myself up over it. And I have been making it less and less. So maybe that's what I'll just do is just make it less and less and less and less and less over time. Because I don't need it. It's just one of those things where I love it. I can go just fine without it. I can go weeks without even thinking about it. But if I am home and I want to just relax and chill, the first thing I do is I grab my, what? Feeling super low after the eclipse. Anyone else? You mean like energetically, actually? You mean like your vibe? Like you're just feeling like you're drained, or you're just feeling like depressed, kind of low? Because the eclipse it was a real number on us, you guys. Energetically, all kinds of things are going crazy. In fact, you know what? I'm going to check the solar flares too. We checked the crazy Schumann, but I didn't check the solar flares. Let's see if it's anything's going on there. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. We had almost an X class yesterday. Look how big they are. And if you look, the baseline has risen. So I really do feel like we are, exactly as Nikia says, we're purging right now. Yeah, we're purging all kinds of stuff. All kinds of energies. Good morning, Kale. Nice to see you, love. Yep, there's been all kinds of energy shifts recently. So does... Oh, I love you, Ray. Yes, it does. Well, like I said, cannabis is a big part of my identity and has been for 22 years now. It's just something that I've been an activist. I was using it for medicine. I've been a staunch activist. I've been all over the world partaking. I know famous people. I'm friends with Soma. If you guys know who Soma is, out of Amsterdam. I love Soma. He's a good friend of mine. And then for those of you who know, I've got a few friends like I shouldn't even name drop right now, but I know some very I know the Prince of Cannabis was his name, Mark Emery. Mark Emery is a good friend of mine. I've just been around for so long. Like, you guys see me in the spiritual community, you should see me in the pothead community. I love Rick Steves. Rick Steves is the man. His documentary about Iran is my favorite documentary about Iran ever. If you guys have never seen Rick Steves talk about Iran, you need to watch it, especially considering how much the news are talking about right now, because many of us have talked about this whole drama that's unfolding in the Middle East. If you want an idea of what life in Iran is truly like and what they feel for Americans, you should watch Rich Steves' documentary. It just goes to show it's our governments that have the problems. The people themselves, Iranians themselves, are the salt of the earth, the most lovely people you will ever meet. He's just I just love Rick Steves. I really do. He's wonderful. Lynn's asking how old I am. Lynn. Oh, no, it depends. How old do I feel today? I think I'm 22 today. Maybe 25 today. But you know what's funny is I actually forgot how old I was. Last year, I told everybody I was 39. Apparently, I'm turning 39 this year. I'm turning 39 in a month. But I was telling everybody last year that I turned 39, so I forgot how old I was. I was telling everybody I was a year older than I actually was. So I get an extra year of being 30 something before I hit that 40. But I hear the 40s is when the fun starts. Is that true? Can anybody validate that for me? I've heard that you get the most fun in your 40s nowadays. So if somebody could validate for me, that would be great. Oh, Nikki says I'm Iranian and we love US people. Thank you, Laura. I love you, Nikki. Nikki's amazing. You've always been so wonderful and supportive and loving. And it just goes to show all of your people are like that. Iranians are just the most wonderful people. I've never, ever once met an Iranian I didn't like. Every single one of them are just kind and loving and would give their shirt off of their back for people. So anything that they say, anybody that says anything about bringing war against those people are part of the problem and they need to sit down. The time is flying, you guys. It really is. I really don't feel that age, this is something that we all have to remember, right? Is that time doesn't exist, right? So your age doesn't technically exist either, all right? Just because the world turned 40 times doesn't mean, you know what I mean, gone around the sun 40 times doesn't mean that you are 40. It just means that your body is, this is the thing, since time doesn't exist, this is why you're going to meet people that don't look their age, who look older or younger, because it's all a mindset. If you feel that you're younger, you will age younger. You will actually start to reverse your own aging. But it's also important to keep your skin really, moisturized as well. This is living leather, you guys. And we always have to moisturize leather. So I'm always constantly like lotioning up. So, but this is one of the things. If your age is a mindset, my dad was born in 1921. He was 65 when he had me and 69 when he had my little sister. And yet my father was just as good a father as if he was 30 when I was born. He did everything. I had a couple people that made comments and asked if he was my grandfather. But most of the time he aged he looked like he was in his 40s until he hit 90. Like he didn't age. It was the weirdest thing. It was the stress that aged him at the end of his life, because stress is what ages you more than anything else. So you really do have to change your mindset when it comes to aging, and you will age slower. So this is another reason, though, why I embrace my inner youth and act as immature as I do sometimes, because I do feel that my immaturity sometimes is also linked to my youthfulness. So, people will give me shit for having fun and going and partying on 420 in New Jersey while my mom is watching my kid. But let me tell you, I am going to enjoy myself like I'm 25 again. So if I look younger, that's probably why. And you know what's funny is that I didn't even do stupid shit really when I was younger. I didn't really drink much. I've always just liked my cannabis. I watched all my friends destroy their lives with pills and alcohol, but me, I was just puffing away all happy. Like, no problems here. So, it's just one of those things where we're supposed to be enjoying ourselves here on this planet. It's one thing that many of us are, yes, we are here to work, but you're also supposed to enjoy yourself and to basically just embrace your inner youth. You know how many times I pull the sun card from when I'm doing tarot? My tarot cards are constantly, at least once every week or two, is reminding me to embrace my inner child and to enjoy just doing fun things. And I think having a kid will also help with that, because Aiden and I, we go out for walks. We do a lot of fun stuff that we are, we went and played Frisbee. Like, it's just doing things with your kids will also keep you young. So the more you embrace your inner youth and, just don't do all the, I don't know. I just laughed because golf was the first thing that popped into mind, but you know what I mean? Like there's other ways of being outside and active that's, keeping you youthful. It's funny. Summer says, I love being the older mom in the classroom groups at my kids' co-op program. I walked into the classroom. I had a teacher conference the other day, and I walked in, and the teacher looked like she was about 24. I felt so old then. I really did. Oh, that made me feel old, I must admit. Yep, going in and talking to the teacher that's like, 15 years younger than me. That one hit me, I must admit. But animals too, Stacy, animals will also keep us young. It's really important if you spend time with your animals, take them for walks and do stuff like that. Spending time in nature outside, going for a swim, all of those things. Even if you have a cat, you can still train your cat to go and spend time with you outside. Jane's here. Hi, Jane. Jane says you're following Chen's advice. Laugh every day. Exactly. 100%. We're supposed to laugh. We're supposed to enjoy ourselves. This place is too... What's the word? There's too much drama here. So we just kind of have to laugh at the drama. No, Matt. Luckily, she seems really cool. So no problem there. My only child is a junior in college, and my best friend has a third grader. Well, there you go. You can hang out with the third grader. Yes, it's very important. Laughter is the best medicine. Exactly. So what are you guys going to do today to make you feel youthful? Huh? That's your homework for today. To do something that you used to do as a kid that you really, really loved. I'm trying to think of what I used to do. Spending time with animals was my big thing. The horses. I grew up on a horse farm, so spending time with my horse was my favorite thing as a kid. So getting to go and spend time with my mom and her horses, and especially it's funny because they're related to the horses that we used to have on the farm. So my mom was funny like that. She went and found the relatives of the horses she used to own and started collecting the ancestry, the offspring. So it's really cool. It's kind of like having a small mini version of what I had when I was growing up when I get to go visit my mom. But it's funny because I took Aiden there yesterday while I was teaching the class because I didn't want him to just roam around the house for 3 hours doing whatever he wants. So I took him over there and I tried to get my mom. I was like, just make him do some farmer stuff, like get him outside doing something. And he spent the whole time on his tablet. I was so annoyed when I picked him up and he was on his tablet. And I was like, why is he on his tablet? She's like, well, he's outside on it. At least he's outside. And I'm like, oh. I just had to laugh because, man, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, when I was his, 30 years ago when I was his age, there's no way my mom would have given me an option to hang out on my tablet while she's doing chores. You know what I mean? So exactly, Catherine, that was what I was told. Go outside until the street lights come on. When it starts to get dark, you can come inside. That's how I was raised. Exactly. So I gave my mom so much shit yesterday. I was like, no, don't let him tell you no. He needs to go and do stuff. He needs to be getting his hands dirty. He needs to be busy, planting flowers and getting involved in stuff. So that's what I'm going to do when I get off with you guys. I'm probably going to take him over to Grammy's to muck out some stalls and clean some chicken coops because he's got the day off today. But I think it's funny how easily my mom never would have allowed me to tell her no to doing chores. And the fact that he was just like, no, I want to hang out on my tablet, Grammy. And she's like, okay, that's fine. I looked at her and I'm like, who are you? And what have you done with my mother? I would have got my ass whooped for saying no. And I would have had triple the chores. But now she's like, no, it's okay. If you don't want to help, it's all right. Go play your tablet. So it's just funny, it is. It's the grandma thing. Exactly, Brittany. I couldn't believe that. I was like, this is not fair. So today I told Aiden, I was like, you can have your tablet back after we do at least 2 hours worth of gardening. So that is my plan. I'm going to take him out to garden today and he can have an hour on his tablet once he's earned it. We got to be tough, It's not easy. My mom wouldn't let me up from the table unless I finished my vegetables. I would have to eat a whole plate of lima beans, in order to be able to get up And now Aiden, he's like, I don't like my broccoli. And I'm like, all right, you don't have to eat it. It's fine. Like, grr, I need to put on my game face more, and start being stricter. Start pretending to be one of those 90s parents, where I'm all mean and tough. But on the inside, I'm feeling terrible because I made him eat his broccoli. He literally puked because I gave him broccoli. We went to South Africa. I made him eat it, and he just, blah. So, I mean, it's just amazing how easily the children of today are getting away with things that we never got away with in the 90s. So, raise some chickens or ducks. Yes, we have chickens. My mom's got her fancy silky chickens. They have lay like Easter eggs and all that weird stuff. She's got like green eggs that come out of her chickens. She's got the fancy ones. Yep. So you guys know you're feeling me on this. I'm seeing the comments. Yes, exactly. Aaron says I'm healing myself from a 90s parent. Yeah, exactly. But my parents were a lot stricter. And it's not even because my dad was born in 1921. It was a lot worse for him. He was to be seen and not heard. When he was growing up, he wasn't allowed to even talk sometimes. They made him sit in the corner and just twiddle his thumbs, like you weren't really allowed to go and be as, up front and in your face as children are these days, where they're just kind of running amok. We need to find like a common ground in the middle, in between, Yes, we are totally transitioning our parenting skills at this point. 100%. We're all just kind of winging it as we go, because I'm not trying to be one of those mean parents either. I'm trying to find it like in the middle, where I'm like trying my best to see, it's my friend from New Jersey asked me if I'm still coming. Hell yeah, I'm still coming. You're damn right I'm still coming. I cannot wait for next weekend, let me tell you. My dad forced us to eat sauerkraut one night because he was German and thought we should try it. My dad used to do weird things. He would put corn in his pancakes. Like the things they used to do with food back in the day. Who would put corn in pancakes? My dad did it all the time. It drove me crazy. But then, I mean, I asked him, I was like, is this like depression food? I'm like, why is there corn in my pancakes? Is this depression food, Dad? And he just looked at me. Like, what do you mean by that? It's definitely an acquired taste, Jacob. I don't know. I still don't. Nope. I do not. But you know what's funny? My dad used to make Reubens. That's still my favorite sandwich. I love Reubens. That used to be a lot more popular back in the day. You don't see Reubens hardly anywhere anymore. He used to make the best Reubens. And corn fritters. Corn fritters are really good. Yep. So you guys know. Margaret says, I'm Polish, so I love all things cabbage. Nice. I really do love pickled cabbage. That's my thing right now. I've been making a lot of, what is it called? Oh my God, of course. I'm about to forget what it was. Damn. It's the South American thing where they have a bunch of pickled vegetables. Cortito! That's the one. Cortito. I've always got Cortito in my fridge. I pickle all my veggies. It's so good. It's like Latin kimchi. Yeah, Aaron. Cortito. It's really good. I put it on all sorts of stuff because the veggies are still crunchy, but they don't actually get like you can eat onions that are raw that way without them being too strong. I love them. I know I'm an outlier on the side, but I'm kind of glad I don't have kids at this timeline. Not for the cliche reasons we hear most childless by choice, people say, but because I know I'd be losing my shit on the daily trying to protect them from today's political climate in schools. This is the thing, a lot of people are trying their best to keep children kind of sheltered right now, but I feel like everything's just going to work out. I think the kids can smell the bullshit. Anybody else is trying to pick up on that? I mean, yeah, some of them may not, but they're probably NPCs anyway. The ones that are going with all the PC stuff. I really do feel like children are starting to be more clued up than adults. Anybody else kind of getting that vibe? that children are actually starting to know more than the adults do. Like, it's like they're coming in here pre-downloaded. It's like they've already got all of this knowledge in their head. And so they're just basically just intuitively picking it up. Exactly, Courtney. And they're basically just trying to shift the thinking of the adults. I think they get it better than we do too, Leanne. 100%. I do. I feel like these children, this is a next level children that are coming in right now. And it's okay if you don't have kids because, there's a lot of people who are here to still help in other ways. It's not everybody is going to need to do the same work, if you know what I mean. My biggest thing is just making sure that Aiden knows all of this stuff before he even goes into that school. We talk about things all the time. Yesterday, we were on our little hike that we do, and he asked me about other dimensions, and I'm explaining alternate realities and timelines to him. So it's funny that we were talking about that on the podcast as well, because he's always talking about this stuff. It's because of the Spider-Man movies. You guys have seen the new Across the Spider-Verse movie, where there were different Spider-Mans that all came together in one reality. That made him think so much about these other realities and other dimensions and timelines, and he's been so curious about it ever since. My husband makes sauerkraut. Love it. See, it is really good for you. Exactly. We got to start eating more of the pickled vegetables. They're really good for your gut health. And yes, it is. Hi, Sandy. We've been talking about Dolores this morning because it's her wonderful birthday. I just love Dolores so much. I really miss her. I talk about her every day pretty much. I do. I really do love her so much. I feel like she's my own grandma sometimes. When I talk to her as if she's still around, I ask her for advice all the time, and then like a couple hours I'll have the answer, and I'm like, oh, okay, there we go. We should totally have Sarah come back. Sarah Jane Patton. She's one of my favorite mediums, and she has a connection with Dolores. Dolores loves to speak through her. So it would be nice if we could have a message from her. Maybe I'll see if she's busy next week. My oldest said that if he died, he'd just start over. We had to have a talk of that your life is important and then you have to be cautious but still have fun. Yes, exactly. Yep. Life is precious. It really is. Some people have the attitude that we have been basically shoved in a body and sent down here against our will, but it never, ever happens that way. We are never forced to incarnate, at least as far as I'm aware. I've never heard of us being forced to incarnate. But all of it comes from people planning. Every person you will ever interact with is still agreeing to those soul contracts. So you had to plan those contracts before you even came down here. So all the people in your life knew that you were going to be in their lives and they consented to it, just for the record. So everybody that everybody that you have a close personal relationship with is somebody that you plan to meet and have that personal relationship with. So appreciate all the people in your life, including the people that make life difficult, because, you chose them too. You planned for that difficulty because you wanted a challenge. It's not always easy to be down here. But that's the point, is that's why we're here. We like the challenge. Let's go into the zoo with the littles. That's wonderful. Nice one. I'm just trying to keep up with the comments here. I'm so excited when my 6-year-old asks me questions about anything metaphysical. She says my tone changes. I get a little excited. Well, I have the opinion that if they chose us to be their parents, and you always choose your parents. If they picked us, then there's a reason for it. They were meant to learn this stuff. Otherwise, they would have chosen somebody else, like a Christian somewhere. Speaking of which, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Let me say hi. Hi. You've been really good. You've been quiet for an hour and 15 minutes. That's pretty good. You say hi to everybody.
Hi.
You want to show them your new stuffy? He's got a thing about squishmallows. It's a pufferfish.
Puppy.
So I think this is a good time to say goodbye to everybody, and I will see you all tomorrow with Siddhartha. Siddhartha will be on. Let me see if there's anything going on with Divinate or with Astara today. taking some getting used to. My brain is not working well today. I'm still getting fried from this Schumann. Let's see. I'm just going to check the schedule really quick. So, oh, okay. We have no events today other than Kaya's live activation. So make sure you guys check that out. Thank you, Daniela. I appreciate you. Nice to see you, honey. So tomorrow we were going to have the podcast with Angelica. Angelica will be on tomorrow. We'll get to have a chat with Angelica and Siddhartha. And then Wednesday, we're going to be having a podcast with JD. JD Duncan will be back. We're going to talk about the Monroe Institute and a whole bunch of really cool stuff there. Kim Beekman will be leading a meditation at noon on Wednesday. Thursday, there's going to be an event on Astara with Angelica and Siddhartha doing a meditation, which is really cool. And then on Friday, Ron and Michael have an event. That's really awesome. So that's exciting. Wonderful. Looking forward to it. I'm going to go make this kid help me garden. We're going to garden today, aren't we? Yeah, we're going to plant some seeds and clean out some stuff and mow the lawn. Yay! Thank you all for joining me. It's really nice to see you guys. And I love you all. Happy have a wonderful day. And I will see you guys soon. Say bye. Bye, guys. See you